industry. He heads the international documentation and course curriculum of technical writers, who develops the end user documents as well as e-learning materials for around 60 applications. The areas covered include enterprise risk management, performance management, financial crime, compliance management, and customer insight. In his role, Surag interacts with senior management of engineering, product management, implementation, and sales. He also has direct interaction with some of the clients. He has developed the documentation process for OFSAA, and has built the documentation team from scratch. Surag has presented in several technical writing conferences and has also contributed to the newsletters and magazines in the field of technical writing. Before moving to Oracle, he worked with Honeywell and has an overall industry experience of 16 plus years in the field of technical writing. Surag is a published author of short stories. He also writes stories for kids and children's magazine. He also pursues the hobby of making short videos and web series. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a top shot technical writer today amongst us. Surag is going to speak on content strategies for established companies and for startups. So, all yours, Surag.
Thanks a lot, Rajdeep. So, hi everyone. Let me welcome you all for my presentation on content strategies for established companies as well as for startups. Since this is a webinar, I thought to include a photograph of myself. This is how I look like, and hope you may have a feeling that I am actually talking to you. Coming to the topic, I believe that one size doesn't fit all. That is, we cannot have the same content strategy for an established company and for a startup company. So it should be different, or that is what I felt during my experience of working with both of them. So let us move on to the agenda. As you see, I have similar headings. However, the information will be definitely different. So, because I am talking about two different types of organizations. So, here is the self-introduction section. As Rajdeep said, I am working at Oracle. And regarding the startup company, I had helped one of my friends who was having a startup company, who is having a startup company in fact, for developing content strategy for them. So even though I took the task voluntarily, I feel I have gained significant insights about the content strategy to be adopted in a startup during the process. Therefore, I'd like to share that as well with you in case any of you are planning something like that. So let us start with the definition. That is, content strategy is the process of getting right content to right people by planning the creation of the content, delivery, and governance. In other words, it is supporting the business of your organization with information. So when it comes to established companies, what should be done? That is, in many companies nowadays, people go ahead with the content management systems, with the structured authoring principles, etc. So yes, that is the way to go ahead. So basically what you do is you centralize the contents. You centralize the contents because you can have collaborative authoring. That is, if you have different writers working on the same document, one writer will be able to work on a part of the document which is in the central location, while the other writer will be able to work on another part which is also in the central location. So using the check-in, check-out methodologies, they can work collaboratively, or they can work together even if they are based in different geographies, even if they are working on the same document. Otherwise, it will be the process of copy pasting, sitting together, still it is prone to errors, kind of a thing. The second thing is to free the content from the formatting. That is, during the publishing, then a style sheet should pass through the document and then generate the different output, whether it is PDF, HTML, and so on. That is, the writers should be able to concentrate on the content and not on the formatting process while authoring. The other thing is to go for single sourcing. That is, most of you by now know what is single sourcing and will be actually doing that. That is, from the same content, generate multiple formats so that the work can be minimized and better managed. Now, the last thing that I have written, last but not least, that is the content reuse. That is, the content that is to be reused will be pointed to in different documents rather than recreated in all documents. That is, the old methodologies like copy pasting, etc. doesn't work. Why? Because if you make if you have the same content that is used in say 50-60 documents, one change in the content will result in you making that change in all those documents. So if it is centralized, then we have the process of reusing, which can be very effective. So let us see how these things can be accomplished. That is, you will have to convince your management to go for the tools. First, need to have an XML editor. For example, Arbor Text Editor, XMetal, and so on. Then you should have an XML-aware content management system. That is something like Astoria, Vasant, and so on. So the process is to author in XML or data and generate different outputs from the content management system. And then the challenge is to convert the existing documents to this format. For that, I think the better methodology is to outsource that work rather than, or you can go ahead with scripts and you can do that if you get some help from your developers. But otherwise, it is better to outsource it because manually doing it is not your job. So here are some of my observations from my experience. One is, you need an XML-aware content management system. So the content management system, when we say that different vendors, they have different definitions for a content management system. So for example, a wiki-based content management system, for example, the one that is used for newspapers, etc. The editors or reporters, they are not technical people, they come up with these stories. So when they write in their portal, what they will do is they just will concentrate on the content. They are not concentrating on any other format. So a web-based content management system, a wiki type content management system, everything people will try. So when you make a search for the content management system, you will find all these types of content management systems. Because different vendors, they have different products and hence they come up with different definitions for a content management system. So the one that we technical writers use is the XML-aware content management system, or the content management system that recognizes XML content or the data content. And yes, there are many ready-made tools which are available, which is a kind of combination of a content management system and an XML editor. Therefore, if you do not want to procure separately and see how the XML editor and content management system from different vendors work together, then you may go for a ready-made option. So, as I stated earlier, it is good to outsource the migration of the existing content. However, still there will be some cleaning up work for you to do. You may also need the help of a network engineer. that is the network engineer to set up the content management system, create the accounts, manage the server, and so on. So if your documentation team is big and you can even hire a network engineer, great. Otherwise, convince your management to give the service of an existing network engineer, and it can be a full-time activity or it can be one of the activity that he or she performs. So that is also important, because these things, if you try to do yourself, it will be, yes, you can do, you can go into that, or if you are really interested, you can do. But it's better that, just like, as I said, just like you outsource the migration work, let a specialist do this rather than you try to develop with that as a network engineer too. Definitely you can have a single point of contact who can interface with this person. All those things you can do, but it's better to have a professional take care of the servers. So generally this kind of systems, they work well in those organizations where there is a kind of a platform kind of a product. So by platform kind of a product, what I mean is that there will be a product which will have all the modules of the, not all the modules, all the common modules that can be used on other products which can be built on top of this platform. So if you are having that kind of a setup, the advantage is that you write the user guide or you write the installation guide of the platform first, and that will be stored in the content management system centrally, and it will be pointed to the other documents which use the same content or some of or parts of this content. And another thing is, if you are having variants of documents, that is especially in services kind of setup, where you have one product which is differently configured or customized for a different customer, so that some of the parts are different, but not everything is different. In the cases where you have solution kind of products, where there is a combination of products, so these all are use cases for having a content management system. So till now I've been speaking about the established companies. That is how you can really come up with a content management system in an established company. Now let us see how the arrangements can be made in a startup organization. So as I said, I was approached by a friend who is having a startup, and he had a unique kind of products. So the strategy has to be different here, because startups will have the issue of funds in their earlier days. So they will face a lot of constraints. At the same time, they need to spread the word about their products and services. The word should be spread that the people are aware of their product, they should consider their product, and they should also buy or purchase the product. So for doing it in the economic manner, here in the blogs and social media, they really come to the rescue for such organizations. So the tools that are, or how this can be accomplished. So the tools that we use here are totally different from what I had stated for a established company. That is, it is not the content management system, it is not the XML editor, but it is the analytics, that is web analytics that you can have for blogs, social media, etc. It can be in the form of gifts to the users for visiting, reading, considering, and so on. Because the thing is, like, if a casual visitor comes and after reading something in the blog, when they leave, then suddenly, are you leaving? Okay, here is the free ebook from us, something like that. So that people are kind of again glued to that particular website. So these kind of things, that is videos, that is with a lot of screencasting tools which are available nowadays, some of them which are even free. So, and even taking videos and doing minimal editing can be done, and there are many tools which helps in doing the linear editing of the videos. So small videos, screencasts, podcasts, all these things can be put into the blog, into the social media channels to create the awareness. That is, let people really know that this kind of product exists, and that will be something that they will consider buying. So those kind of things, they really need to spread the word. So for giving an example, in the case of my friend, what he was doing was he was creating a product uh, which can be downloaded from Android or iOS and phones, and when the Bluetooth is enabled in this phones, when you reach a particular supermarket, you will get the particular deals that is there customized for you. So the advantage of this kind of a product is, with the challenge in a lot of e-commerce sites, people are, now the effort is to bring back the people back to the stores, kind of a thing. So if they do like that, then the tax is back to the city, tax is back to the government, kind of. There are many such advantages from the government side if people are back to the stores instead of purchasing everything from the e-com side. So taking advantage of that, get the support of the government authorities, and taking advantage of personalized deals when you are in the proximity of a store, bring the people back to the store, kind of a thing. So these kind of use cases, when you explain via a blog, or when you talk about this as a podcast, or any of the interactive media that is available nowadays, people tend to, first of all, they think this is cool, kind of a thing, but still may not really go for that. So it's really prompting the people to buy these products or try out this product, so that later they become loyal customers. So this is one of the tools, that is, which are not really expensive tools, but certain methodologies by which you can do. Another thing is to initiate conversation with people in the social media websites, in LinkedIn, in Facebook, etc. Form the groups, listen to the comments, invite them for polls, and take their feedback, respond to that, and once again bringing the interest to the people so that people really buy the products. So these are some of the tools that can be used, or some of the ways in which that can be effected for a startup. Now, talking about my observation here, that is, if you are wondering about the number of blog articles that are right, that is, it's like writing blog is alright, but how many articles you should write? I will say that one article per day kind of writing should be there. So another thing is how long. Generally 500 to 1000 words. Most of us can create those kind of articles, but it should be of more depth, and it should also attract search engine optimization. So 2000, according to me, it looks like 2000 worded article daily, carefully researched, carefully done. If you put it daily, on a daily basis, yes, you can be one of the market leader, because there is a lot of buzz that you create with your product with these kind of articles. And yes, always quality matters more than quantity. So another thing is, some of the mistake that some of the startup company owners do. They think that it can be given to an intern, and I even see in our circles that is whenever a new be a tech writer or somebody who want to be a tech writer, when they ask for an advice, some of the experienced people saying that it won't be that difficult to get the role of a blog writer in a startup. So why don't you try there, kind of a thing. Well, generally, I think the strategy doesn't work because that person won't be that experienced with the products, will not be that experienced in writing. So what I'm saying is, this position, say if you are starting a startup company, I think do not go ahead with this strategy because this is an important responsibility and this is one of the ways in which you are really creating a buzz in the market. So if you are giving that opportunity or giving that role to somebody who's like trying out the things and trying to get into the writing world, perhaps I think you are doing a big mistake by doing that. And another thing is, it is very important to answer to the audience. That is, it is generally when the people put some feedback, when the people come write some comment, when they like something, that means that they kind of react to your content strategy, and you should be listening to that. That is totally ignoring them. Yes, there can be spam, there can be some people who can be negative who are doing these things, but if you don't respond properly to the people, if you think that it is not that important, I will write my article, let people comment on them, I don't care, kind of a thing. I think you are going to lose some of your potential visitors. Why? Because if you answer to people's queries, when the second person come and if he or she is also having the same query but they didn't ask that query, but when they found that answer in the comment, maybe they will get interested. So it is very important to respond to your audience. So it really shows that you are listening. So that was what I wanted to tell. That is about the strategies of dealing it with in already established companies and how to deal it in a startup. So that's it. Thanks for listening to me. Any questions?
Surag, I
All
have
of you
one
can
question.
start typing your questions or can say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I can ask, right?
Yes, Kiran, go ahead.
Okay. Surag, you're talking about social media for startups, right? And
Yes.
you're also talking about, yeah. So now when we are going in for the content strategy, usually for a startup, we can also look at building the content strategy on a parallel process, on a parallel thing for which we do it for the established. Will it take too much because you're going to have the same type of planning and implementation, whether you're going to do it in the social or the other ways. So how do you, for your friends, in your friends case study, did you
Yeah.
establish it later because you used simple tools initially, but then did you have a parallel process such that it will, in the long run he'll have a content strategy in place?
Okay. Many of the startups today, including that of my friend, what they are doing is they are trying to come up with something that is unique or something that for which they are the either the pioneer or one of the early adapter. So in such a case, we generally start. Blogs have been there for a while, but with the startup culture coming into picture, they really had to rely on anything that is available there, kind of freely or kind of which has a more reach kind of a thing. So if your question was can something that was successful in an established company, can something that be done for a startup? The answer is that in the case of an established company, they have a brand. So even if they do something new, they already have the brand that is already established, that was successful in a particular area, which is not possible for a small company like this. So once they make a big sound in the market, and once they get the funding, maybe yes, we can parallelly adopt that. At least in my friend's case, it hasn't happened till now. It's been happening for last 1 year or so. He started last year. So till now, the strategy is still to really create the buzz.
Okay, okay, fine, understood. So because it's usually what happens is the startup companies, when they have this content strategy in place, they probably stick to it because they are still, their visibility is there, which they have done the usual way. But if they need to establish it in the long run, and because when you talk about content, it also becomes bulky as you go by, right? You might have many products, you might have many things coming up in place, and it becomes very difficult for you to handle this type of various verticals, and because you are going to have an simple thing like a blog might not work in the long run. So that's the reason I asked whether, so a 1-year-old company finds...
No, please don't underestimate the strength of a blog, because it's like early days when the blogs came. It was like many people used to write blogs mainly like a hobby kind of a thing. Nowadays, what happens is almost all the website, if you see the websites of the startup, many of them have a section called blog itself. So, so the thing is like they really make use of it. It's like it's not something that is less penetrative kind of a thing. They even chat in somebody else's blog. They answer in somebody else's blog and give a link back to there. So those kind of things they do. So it's not.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Surag. I mean, it is in the sense that I understand the importance of initial thing, but I'm also looking at a bigger picture when they go in for that. That time, transitioning into an other process might be difficult if they're not establishing it from now. Since it's a year old, that's all my question was. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
So Surag, would you be solving problems or issues, and the topics of your blogs would be addressing certain problems, or would it be something where the startup is actually saying that we are coming out with this and that cutting edge technology? What should be the primary focus of the blog?
Okay, so good question. One thing is, or what we have done was we tried to create maximum use cases kind of a thing. Overall, this Bluetooth enabled proximity marketing technology can be used. That is where one clear area is to use it in the supermarket kind of area. Second thing is it can be used for, say, hospital navigation kind of thing. That is, if you are in a particular hospital, you can enable this and you can find the places. So like that, there are in airports you can use this. So there are many areas in which you can use. Then based on the business that is flowing, you kind of concentrate in your niche area kind of. So where all you got the projects for whom you are doing, because there is a limit in which you can keep on writing the use case without really having any experience in working there. So after a while, the blog generally comes by talking to my friend and some of the people who actually did that with a particular client. So what were their challenges, how they enabled it, and there are certain techniques for gathering people's attention. It's like, here are the 6 best methods to solve this, something like that. So the kind of email marketing strategies, some people, the things people was trying. So many of them actually works in a blog, and we also have to do email marketing. So some of the things like here are the top 6 reasons for doing this or top 5 reasons for doing that kind of a thing. So as a tech writer, what we are used to write this procedural information like putting 1, 2, 3 kind of a thing. So when you find that okay, you have 5 points, make that as the heading of this. So like that. So generally what happens is first you try all the use cases that is possible kind of a thing. What all ideas you get, you try to put. Then based on the projects you get, you kind of concentrate on them. You really start sharing your experience.
Okay, great, thanks. Rajivan has, I believe he wants to ask you a question. He has been typing, or Rajivan, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead, Rajivan. Ask.
Actually, no questions from my side. It's a very good presentation. So, thank you, Surag, for this wonderful session.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So any other questions, guys? We were supposed to have 30 people registered and 7 or 8 people turned up. So, but we had, I believe, a very good session. And any more questions from Sangeeta or Kiran or I can see Radhika? Anyone else? You have any question? By the way, we request the presenters